Forsaken will introduce 8 barons who lead a Scorn army alongside Prince Aldrin. Bungie has told us that Forsaken's campaign is not linear, meaning we can take down these barons in any order we want and make the story our own. So today we will discuss these 8 barons, who they are, and the events that led them to this situation in the first place. Alright Guardians, so the latest Game Informer article is pretty interesting. It gives us some information on the 8 barons and who they are, and a little bit of their backstories. So this is perfect for those of you that like the lore and want to get a jump on it before Forsaken comes out. So like I said, credit goes to Game Informer. I'm just bringing this to you in a video format, so link is down below. Prince Aldrin is the main antagonist here in Forsaken, but he isn't doing it alone. The barons were once a group of dregs cast out from the House of Exile. So you can think of it as they were kind of misfit fallen pretty much. Other Elixni looked down on them, didn't really care for them, and said they were weak and useless. This caused the dregs to bond together because all they had was each other. Ultimately, this was what fueled the fire and began their journey as Scorn Barons. This group thrived through teamwork, ruthlessness, and even trickery. They would then go on and steal from other Elixni, from those who cast them out. They would take things like supplies, weapons, and most importantly, ether. This is what made them stronger and capable of wreaking havoc on whoever they set their minds to. It seemed they had an interest in the Reef as they terrorized many awoken outposts in the process, and this was after the Taken War, or the events of the Taken King. So they ended up fighting through the Reef for some time, jumping pirate gangs and making their way to the top. Eventually, Cade, Petra, and some other Guardians imprisoned 7 of these barons in the deepest depths of the Prison of Elders. So they were locked down there for a pretty long time, and that's basically a little prologue to this whole baron situation. We first begin with Fikrul, otherwise known as the Fanatic, who is the leader of these barons next to Aldrin. The Fanatic is a male fallen Archon who is one of the top leaders in Forsaken. Here's a description of him. The Fanatic is a leader of the Barons and dark corrupted evolution of the Elixni known as the Scorn. Second only to Prince Aldrin Sov, he views the Scorn as an evolution of the Fallen and the final manifestation of what they were always meant to be, eternal. So here is a little backstory on the Fanatic himself. Once a prominent Archon priest of a long-lost house, the Fanatic preached heresy to the machine-worshipping Elixni and paid a heavy price, docking, banishment, and starved from the Fallen's life-giving ether. After falling in with the Barons to become their warrior priest, he continued his anti-Great Machine evangelism and instilled in his brothers and sisters a belief that the old Elixni must finally die, as the whirlwind should have allowed, in order for them to rise better and stronger. So the Fanatic is pretty much the crazy one at the top, leading all these Scorn Barons with the help of Prince Aldrin. We next have Elykris, the Machinist. Elykris is a female fallen Baron. Now she is the second in command to the Fanatic and his most ardent follower. This character has expertise in munitions, weapon crafting, and they say in charge of a siege on the Redacted, so siege on something. She's also known as a thief and a hoarder with a terrifying arsenal. So as for the Machinist's backstory, here's what we have. When very young, this bandit started with nothing. Since then, she's hoarded just about everything she's taken. She's a scourge of cis-Jovian and cis-Martian space, raiding ships and encampments and making off with any operational weaponry. Third, we have Hyrax, a fallen baron who is male, also known as the Mindbender. The Mindbender is a mad genius who has been changed by his research into the Hive and has found a means of exercising control over Hive combatants. So you may remember last video I talked about one of these barons controlling the Hive. I think it was the Grasp of Nagris. This looks like it could be the Baron. The name before we said it was Gravetide, and I don't see that in any of these barons, so it could be the Mindbender. Now Hyrax's backstory is actually pretty interesting as it deals with the moon. It says, as a starving runty little dreg, the Mindbender fell into the moon's hellmouth. He's never spoken an intelligible word since. But his time in the Hive's domain changed him, gave him a lifelong obsession. After years of study, he found a way to carve a throne world of his own from an ascendant realm. And as we know, like I stated, there is an ascendant realm within the Dreaming City, so this could be the Mindbender's doing. An example of something else he's done was brainwashing Prince Aldrin's crows, using them to feed misinformation and fuel tensions between the Reef and Earth. So as we know, the Reef has always had, a little sketchiness or tension towards us, Guardians from Earth. And whether it's related or not, it seems the Mindbender did brainwash Prince Aldrin's crows at one point. Moving on, we have Araskis, a female fallen baron, also known as the Trickster. A silver-tongued manipulator and a con artist with a high opinion of herself, the Trickster has a penchant for deadly sleight of hand and prefers to work behind the scenes when it comes to these baron operations. When the barons must negotiate or trade, which is almost never, they send the Trickster. She is basically their spokesperson, talks for them, and can kind of persuade whoever they're talking to on the other side of these trades. Next we have Rekis Vaughn, fallen baron, a male, and also known as the Hangman. This guy right here is known for tearing ether generators from the cores of servitor with his bare hands. His obsession with torturing those servitors is unprecedented in the history of the Elixni, so no one has really ever done this before. This guy is just into those servitors a little bit too much. The Hangman doesn't just kill his victim, he hurts them. He has a specific hatred for servitors, the fallen machines created in the Traveler's image, who enforce the fallen hierarchies by deciding who eats and who doesn't. His physical rejection of Elixni tradition is ultimately what drew him into the Fanatic's inner circle, but whether it's for belief or sadistic opportunity has yet to be determined. Next we have Konix, a fallen baron that is male, also known as the Mad Bomber. Now there's nothing really much to be said about this guy. He's a mad bomber, he loves using bombs, and is willing to blow up an entire location just to kill one target. As for his history, no one knows where the Mad Bomber came from or how he got here because he doesn't even know. The Mad Bomber just lives through his days with the adrenaline of high fiery explosions and bombs. Alright, we have a couple of more left. Next we have Pirha, a fallen baron male known as the Rifleman. This is an all-seeing sniper who watches his brother barons' backs. The Rifleman keeps his targets at distance, plays real dirty, and never misses his shot. Brilliant, cold, and patient, more than one of the Rifleman's notches is a Guardian's ghost. Since the Barons first ganged up, no one has ever managed to get the drop on them. That's because the Rifleman's keen and well-tuned cybernetic eye always watches their backs. When not hunting the shadows, he is said to hold down the hills or whatever territory he claims as his own, aided by a surveillance network no one could penetrate. Cross that threshold and you're as good as dead. No matter where you hid, his bullet would find you, Guardian or no. And last we have a fallen baron female, Yavix, also known as the Rider. The Rider is an anarchist bike rider and leader of her own gang of pike riders. This baron fields and pollutes the air everywhere she goes, and her gang are always on the run. She's a master mechanic who's taken the fallen heavy pike and made it much better. The Rider's loyal gang is gathered from the remnants of old houses, outlaws, and lone wolf nomads. She gave them a pike and a purpose, and in exchange every member is prepared to ride or die for their fearless leader. For years, the Rider's gang has been a bane in the asteroid belt, seeking to replace any semblance of the ranks that failed to fall long ago. So there you have a bunch of information on the Barons and some of the lore, and I really enjoyed that from Game Informer, so link is down below, credit to them. Now to wrap up this video, I just finished, making the Baron stuff. I'm like, hey, the Bungie Weekly Update just came out, might as well tell you what's important here. Now being honest, there isn't really much. It starts off saying Future War Called 1, which we pretty much already know. They talk about how they're going to be at Guardian Con and you'll be able to play Gambit there, but the most important thing in my opinion here has to be the Prestige Raid announcements. So they say, I just want to swing back around and give a quick update on some of the changes to the Prestige Layer launch plan. Based on player feedback and to ensure each World's First race has a clean start, we're changing the release times of each activity. So Eater of Worlds will receive a 1-hour delay to ensure players have ample time to download and install a new update, and Spire of Stars has been delayed 24 hours to offset the activity releases. So basically, people that are going Worlds First, the raids won't release at the same time. They'll have time to play a raid one day, and the next day they can take on Spire of Stars. So here are the launch times for those. Eater of Worlds is 11 AM Pacific Time on July 17th, and Spire of Stars Prestige is on 10 AM Pacific Time on July 18th. And also something that's pretty cool under that is a Crucible announcement from Kevin Yanes. He says, while some of us at Bungie were off on holiday to celebrate our country's independence, we wanted to make sure all Guardians in Destiny 2 had something to celebrate. So starting this Friday, July 6th at 10 AM Pacific time, players can earn 3 times Valor rank gains in all Valor supported playlists, and this will last through the weekly reset. So if you want to nab that exotic ghost or are looking to finish your Crucible ornaments, this weekend is definitely time to throw down in the Crucible. Anyway, Guardians, that's all I got for today's video. Hope you enjoyed the information. I definitely thought it was pretty cool to learn more about the Barons, and there's going to be tons more Forsaken videos very soon. If you enjoyed, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for some more awesome Destiny 2 news and entertainment. I'm Evade, and I'll catch you, Guardians, in the next one.